the file preparation and what you need to do to supply your images to the publishing and licensing companies. So supplying your images to publisher, your first initial selection, you can just supply your images in high-res JPEGs, is fine. They don't need the actual full-on high-res TIFF format until they're actually doing the final design stage and actually placing the images in to go to print. So for them to do the design process and layout options, that sort of thing, they only need high-res JPEGs. So so therefore you don't actually have to have all of the retouching or anything finished, the post-production work done, until you supply them the high-res, as long as they get a general idea of what the images are going to look like. It's also, I always find it really good to give them, when I'm sending them my images, to give them an A-list image and a B-list image. So the A-lists are my personal favourites, where I would like to see them used as big full pages or double page spreads. The B-list, of course, what I mentioned before, are cluster images, or images which I've created of the animals or subjects which I don't necessarily desperately want to see as big pages. Yeah. Yeah, so what I mentioned before, like for the final design stage, you need to supply them high-res TIFFs. And for printing purposes, you need to supply them in CMYK format. Because when you're printing a book, you're printing in 4-colour print. Unlike when you're getting a print done for your clients, which is, you only need to have them in RGB, which is a 3-colour printing process. But book publication is different. It's a 4-colour, and then it's actually about to move into 6-colour. So I have no idea if it's going to change what you supply your images. Probably not. Probably still will be CMYK, but I'm sure I'll find out if it changes. But your publisher should let you know what they require anyway. They might do the transfer for you, but I find it's good to do it yourself, purely because the colours do shift slightly when you convert your image from RGB to CMYK. So it's good to do it yourself, because then you can control, and if there's any adjustments need to be made, then you'll be fine. And as I mentioned earlier also, find out the colour profile of the printing company, because then you can actually make sure the final file you actually supply to your company, to your publishing company, is CMYK, and it actually sits in the colour profile which the printing house is printing to. I thought it sounds complicated, but it actually is really easy. If you get given it, and there's, hopefully, I actually do have a retoucher who does a lot of this for me, because there's just so many images in the end, and it's but this afternoon I can try and show you how to change it. I know how to do the RGB to CMYK, but I'll try and remind myself how to do the colour profile thing to show you this afternoon. And also, storing your images is really important. Like for continuity, try and keep the original image caption number within your file name. Because if you've got your raw images, which is purely just the image number, which the image has been captured as, and then you change the name change it to be called the name of the cat, that doesn't have any, take away that number, how are you going to relate that back to your original image if you need to actually go back and change something on it? So I always find, so with this cat, particular cat, Kuzia, so that's the file number, and then Kuzia, and I keep that. So Kuzia FC means French cat, so that's my file name for French cat, and then I've still got the original caption number there. With digital files, make sure you keep 2, if not 3 files in separate locations. I have a retoucher has all my files, my publisher has all my files, and I actually have 2 files myself. So I've probably got 4. It's probably a bit of an overkill, but you never know when your hard drives are going to die on you, and you might potentially lose your images. So just make sure you have plenty of copies when you've got digital format. And if you're still working in film or negatives, and I've still got hundreds of films and negatives and transparencies which I keep in file, and I've got them all stored in a temperature-controlled environment with a storage company. So I have a filing system which it's all handwritten, but it's all like code numbers of, so if I need to, I can send to that company, okay, I need negative packet 1220, this is the name on the file, and they can actually pull that out for me, get it couriered to me, and I can then I courier it back and they put it back into the same filing system. But that's quite overkill, but that's because I've got so many from my earlier days. But it's always negatives and transparencies, if they're kept anywhere damp, they'll start sticking to the plastic sleeves, and then you'll start getting watermarks on them and things. So it's really quite important to keep an eye on that and make sure you're not damaging your negatives and transparencies.